All right, we back again. It's another episode of Frankly Football. I'm Brandon.
Just set it off, Chris, man, with my main man, BH. What's up, baby?
Man, it's same old. Another week in quarantine, my guy.
Yeah, man, it's starting to open up a little bit. Things moving around, but yeah, just another day in the life of this thing.
That's right. Today we're here to talk about your happenings around the league. Specifically this whole Jamal Adams situation. He's come out and formally requested to be traded. And in some cases, he's also specified that he would go to some specific teams that he favors and not immediately request a new deal. So, that is kind of favorable for a team. But how does this really relate to the Dallas Cowboys is the big question. And would we even be willing to give up some things, whether it is draft capital like picks or player capital, some of our more important players?
Okay. You got it. Well, Jamal is a big topic for Cowboy fans. And at the end of the day, the safety position is something we've longed for the last couple of years. Jamal Adams is just a hot new name that we've been talking about. Because last year, it wasn't Jamal Adams. It was
Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas.
It was Earl Thomas. So we were all about Earl Thomas. And then the year before, we were talking about in the season going in, we were talking about Juan Thornhill or Taylor Rapp or something like that. So it's always been to the point that the Cowboys have never replaced the one guy they've been looking to replace, and that's Darren Woodson.
That's right.
They've never replaced him. They've never gone out and got a big playmaking guy as a safety for them. And so you see Jamal and you envision a lot of different things about him, but the one guy he is not, who Cowboys fans are trying to make him out to be, is another legend that most people don't say his name, but it's Sean Taylor.
Absolutely. No, you're never going to have another safety be that.
Right.
To be perfectly honest. But here's one thing I want to remind people, Chris. As much as I am not a fan of Jeff Heath, is a team ever just a safety away?
No. Very few teams are. But Cowboys fans want to be all pros. We want to have 11 all pros on offense and 11 all pros on defense.
And that's not reasonable.
Unless you play in Madden.
Exactly. The Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. How many all pros can you say are on their defense?
Well, let's name the impact players that me and you being football guys will probably name a few more guys, but you're looking at Frank Clark.
Yep.
Chris Jones.
Mm-hmm.
The guy they pulled from the 49ers. The defensive end. D
Ford. Yeah.
D Ford. Okay. Hey, they got a nice little middle linebacker. Guy's named Anthony Hitchens.
Yeah.
Right? You turned around, you went and got Tyrann Mathieu.
Yes. Now you finally mentioned the safety. Sixth person that you mentioned, I believe, is just now the safety.
Got it. So if you're looking at a team that has pressure from up front, adequate play in the middle, your secondary is covered up by the different things you do in your front seven.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to have an all-pro in your back seven for you to be dynamic on defense. You need to have adequate play in your back seven, in your secondary, as your front seven causes pressure and does different things like that.
Absolutely.
Name the two safeties on the 49ers. Go ahead, quick. Come on.
Jimmy Ward isn't there anymore, so I honestly can't name him.
Right, you can't. That's what I'm saying. But you know who Fred Warner is. You know who Bosa is. You know who you just name those guys. You got Bosa, you got Simon Thomas, you got Armstead, you've got all those guys. You got Fred Warner as a linebacker. So you got guys. You know Sherman because Sherman is a name, but you don't know who the safeties are.
That's right.
So we sit here now talk about building a dynasty, right?
That's
so
right.
I'm going to go ahead and jump in the Wayback Machine. You got to remember, to build a dynasty, you need draft picks.
That's
you
right.
need draft picks, and you need to be able to pay good players to little or no money.
and you got to keep an influx of young talent.
You have to keep doing
Where
it.
draft picks and wise player acquisition comes into play.
Right. So let's go back to the Great Train Robbery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great Train Robbery. For those who listen to talking to us, this was when Dallas traded Herschel Walker, right, to the
Minnesota
Minnesota
Vikings,
Vikings
but
for the
for
gang
the
of
bank,
picks, right?
their life
For the
savings.
picks, right? For everything. And to be honest with you, there hasn't been a haul like that ever since, because people start valuing cheap labor.
That's
You
right.
end up getting Isaac Hope. You start picking up people. Yeah, you picked up Chad Hennings, but you end up picking Russell Maryland. Russell Maryland, for those of you who hate Tristan Hill so much, Russell Maryland didn't turn over or be that guy that he was until like year 2, year 3. He was an adequate player, but he wasn't a dominant player his rookie year.
That's right.
He wasn't a dominant player. Okay, he got on the field, but we'll be able to go in a little bit more depth about Tristan. I really believe Tristan has an opportunity to really make a big difference and be that guy like, wow, we did get him. He turned out to be that guy under a different regime without as much pressure as the last regime had.
Absolutely.
But it takes people. Go ahead.
So the way that we bring that back around to Jamal Adams, what are you really willing to give up if you think that he is, of all things, a strong safety? Because Jamal Adams is not a free safety. He did not start there at any time during the last season. He started every game at strong. So let's keep that in mind. What are you willing to give up if you want to acquire him? Are you willing to give up your first round pick? Are you willing to give up Michael Gallup? Because that's the type of guy that they want. If you look on you handle our Twitter. If you look all the time, what are the Jets fans saying that they want? Oh, you can get an all-pro safety if you just give up Michael Gallup. They're doing bargaining. They're bargaining to try to get him because they see that they can really make use of that. But on any team that you have a transaction that you give Jamal Adams to, I'm not thinking that he is going to be the guy that takes you over the hump. Not because he isn't good, because he is an excellent player, but because I don't think that any team can be just a safety away. Free safety or strong safety.
So I'm going to go back to your first thing. Everything you said, I agree with 100%. Here's my thing. I'm not willing to give up anything for him because I don't have to. First off, we're continuously talking about a guy who right now, the Jets have said, we're picking up your 4th-year option, and we've already got your 5th-year option underneath that. So he's got 2 years.
That's right.
He can want to trade. He can want out of town all he wants to. But he belongs to the Jets for at least the next 2 years, and they can franchise him. And with the way they signed a new CBA, they've made it really to the point he belongs to them for the next 3 years.
That's right, because worst come to worst, they can franchise tag him again.
But you can't hold out. I mean, you can't say I'm not going to hold out, because if you get hold out, you get fined, and no longer can the teams wipe away the fines. They have to uphold the fines. So they really have him under contract really for the next 3 years. That's the first thing. Absolutely. Second of all, I'm not giving away anything I have because I'm closer to a dynasty than the Jets are. And I'm not willing to give away any of my picks or my players that's going to derail my dynasty. I can go into the draft and find a rangy free safety. There were 2 rangy free safeties this year in the draft. It just so happened that at 17, CeeDee Lamb was sitting there, and I wasn't thinking about nobody but him. Neither were the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
So, if we're honest, Juan Thornhill went in what round, Brandon?
Juan Thornhill was either a late 2nd or early 3rd round pick last year.
He was a 2nd rounder. Juan was a 2nd rounder.
Yeah.
Taylor Rapp was a 2nd rounder.
Because Juan was available at 50 when we picked Tristan.
Right. So Darnell Savage went in the 1st round.
That's right.
Neither one of those guys that Cowboy fans were in love with went into the 2nd round. You turned around this year, you had guys go later than you expected. Xavier McKinney, I think he went in the 2nd round.
Yes.
Greg Delpit, he went in the 2nd round. Greg Delpit went in the 2nd round. So you're going to find a safety, a rangy, ball-hawking, free safety in the 2nd round. What you want is a hitting, rangy, free safety. And you may already have him on your football team, and that's Donovan Wilson.
That's right. We're banking on the upside there. Now, here's the thing.
And it's dirt, and you get it for dirt cheap.
Absolutely. You're paying them pennies on the dollar as far as football money is concerned.
because you have to. You gonna pay my quarterback.
That's right.
You're already paying my running back. You
That's right.
already paying my left defensive end.
That's right.
You're already paying Amari Cooper. You're gonna turn around next year because Michael Gallup gonna show out and you're gonna give him a deal, right?
Yes, sir.
You're going to end up paying him. You're going to mess around and you're going to have to turn around after next year and pay Leighton Vander Esch,
Yes.
right? You have to pay one of these secondary guys. Either it's going to be Chidobe or Jordan Lewis to be able to, solidify your secondary.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned both of those names. I'm gonna cut you off right quick. So
Go ahead.
the first thing that you talk about was how many guys you got to pay. Currently,
Right.
the Cowboys have $11 million and some change in cap room. So
Right.
you mentioned that you have to pay Dak Prescott first and foremost. That is priority number one.
You got to pay a quarterback.
Can you fit both of those guys, even if you prorate or whatever the correct word is, both of their contracts? You're gonna pull a situation that Philly's in. You're gonna bloat your contract for further years. Is that even a smart thing to do?
What you mean for who? To get
For the
Jamal
Cowboys?
Adams?
Yeah. Hypothetically, if you were to procure him, I'm not even talking about the means, but if you were to procure him, is he even worth it from a contract standpoint right now to re-up on that type of heavy deal?
He already said himself that if one particular team who comes and gets him, he's willing to push their money down, and they don't have to sign him immediately. Here's the deal. He's still under contract for the next 2 years. His fourth year option, his fourth year is already secured. His fifth year option is already picked up. He just wants to get a contract extension.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Cowboys, and he's already said he wants to be the highest paid safety in football, that's $17 million. So I'm gonna pay $17 million for a safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to turn around. I'm already paying Jalen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to turn around next year and pay Leighton, right? I'm gonna have to pay Leighton.
And one of our DBs, whether it's Cheeto
and another DB, and then I'll have to turn around in the end, Team Toxic, Alden Smith, or Randy Gregory. One of those guys are gonna kick out, right? I'm gonna have to pay one of those guys, and then I'm turning around. I'm looking across the board. I still got to pay Michael Gallup again.
That's right.
Now, I'm in the point right now. I want to draft, and with all the comp picks that I have coming up, why would I even think about spending $17 million on one guy when I got all this influx of new talent I'm able to put on my team for the next 2-3 years?
Perfect.
I love Jamal Adams. I love what Jamal Adams brings, his intensity, his intelligence, and everything about him. But if you start looking at the safeties in the league, you start looking at them, right?
Yeah.
And you start saying, okay, well, who's this guy? You're talking about the top guys in the league, top guys in the game. You're talking about Anthony Harris. You're talking about Jamal. You're talking about these guys, and you're looking like there's a big bunch of guys that you don't even know. Do you even know who Justin Simmons is?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I feel like he's a much better cover safety than Jamal Adams is. I feel the same way about Anthony Harris and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I feel, is miles ahead as a cover safety over top of Jamal Adams.
But if you look at the ratings, you got Anthony Harris is number 1, Justin Simmons is 2, Harrison Smith is 3. Both of them play on the Vikings. Marcus Williams, right?
Yeah.
Adrian Phillips, Jordan Dangerfield, Derwin James. He's a monster. He's coming off injury, right? Yes. Deion Bush, Devin McCourty, and then you get the Mika.
Yeah.
But Jamal is number 5, and Jamal is amazing. Without question, he's amazing. He's just, you know what? He's just not that amazing to me for me to give up my picks.
Absolutely not. Now, the second thing that you had mentioned just a bit ago, you mentioned the young players, like the young DBs, and guys in other positions as well. I was reading this article the other day talking about 10 guys who the Cowboys could offer up in a potential deal for Jamal Adams. We already know Michael Gallup because a lot of Jets fans, especially on Twitter, you use that platform for us. So you have seen the I'm not even sure what the word, the clamoring that they have in their attempts to get him. I'm in no way, shape, or form am I looking to get rid of that 3-headed monster that we have in our receiver room. Would you even consider getting rid of Michael Gallup in a trade for Jamal Adams?
Brandon, there is not a scenario that they can give me that I am willing to get rid of Michael Gallup.
Mm-hmm.
Not one single solitary scenario.
What if it's straight up? What if it's straight up? Gallup.
Okay, we may have a little bad connection. Let me say it again slowly. There is not a scenario. There is not a situation. There is not anything they can put on my table that'll make me get rid of Michael Gallup. The reason I'm saying that is because a couple different things that we kind of forget about and we're going to go in detail with is that people get hurt.
Yes.
And no one has 3 cornerbacks that I'm afraid of to cover my wide receivers.
Absolutely.
They may have one. Honestly, I'm going to go out here and say this early. This thing with Darius Slay and Amari Cooper, and so everybody is now jumping on the bandwagon of what you and I have already known, that Amari Cooper is probably the best, and I'll say it is the best route running wide receiver in the NFL by far. Michael Thomas is the best volume guy. Yes. Quintaris, for y'all, other you disrespectful folks, Julio is just a flat out monster. But Amari Cooper is by far the best route running guy in the NFL. And so with him playing all last year with plantar fasciitis, never complained a game, and then for the world to say, oh, Darius Slay locked him up, I cannot wait. I am salivating for the opportunity when they play and Amari's healthy and him spin him around like a top.
And here's the thing. Even if Darius Slay locks him up, which I do not think will happen, even if Darius Slay locks him up, the rest of the Philly DBs are pedestrians.
There you go.
Civilians.
Right. They flat out.
How are they going to then proceed to attempt to lock down Michael Gallup?
Absolutely.
D. Lamb.
And so that's my point. The world they're sitting, okay, if anybody has one stud, very few people have 2 studs.
And even less people
and 3.
So then you want to then try to talk to giving away one of your studs. You have a commodity that a lot of I will say that 30 of the other 31 teams in this league do not have. You have that level of commodity. And you have, not meaning you, Chris, I mean the incompetent people among the internet.
Let's not insult them.
Okay.
We're not going to call
the uninformed people. The people who have yet to watch our videos. Those people want to then give up one of our commodities. And I'm pointing directly to my camera. You. Why would you want to do that? So you don't get rid of your gangsters. We have seen that Michael Gallup is a gangster.
Yes.
So you got to send him out there and let him do work. You don't ship him off as soon as you see him put up 1,100 yards.
How many games he missed last year? Go ahead and tell me.
I think
2.
He missed 2. I was gonna say
2
3.
games.
I was gonna say 2. I mean
2.
3.
Okay, so if he misses 2 games, let's say 3. So in 13 games, he gave me 1,100 yards. Okay, in the last game, he probably piled it on with the Redskins. But at the end of the day, there were some plays that Michael Gallup made last year, just made it to the point that your second guy was not as good as my second guy.
That's right.
And he's only going to get better. That's not year 5 Michael Gallup. That's year 2 Michael Gallup.
2.
So
some people, some pundits, some people that work for a 3 or 4 letter network then want to talk about getting rid of that? Man, please. And I'm just going to leave that one right there.
Right. So there's only thing that I have on the table for Jamal Adams is, Jamal, you got 2 years where you're at. You're going to have to sit there and ride it out and become a free agent. And at that point in time, if I got room for you, come on down.
There we go.
I'm not doing anything to stop the team building I have. This team has been able to, over the last few years, not just bring in a couple of plays, they brought in whole position groups. Let's think about this. They turned around this year. We revamped the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Year before last, we revamped revamped the linebacking core by going and having Jalen and Leighton Van their ass.
That's
You
right.
now have your strength of your team, which made it such a big thing last year, really was your linebackers. Those
Yes.
two young linebackers running free, doing what they do. That was the big disappointment on the defense this year. Everybody's looking for them to bounce back because what they did in 2018, we felt was just a prelude to what they could do in 2019.
That's
We
right. That's
thought they
right.
were going to come in 2019 like gangbusters. So with that happening, you're waiting for them to get back to their 2018 form in 2020.
That's right.
So
Now,
now,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Gallup isn't the only guy that has been in the headlines as far as potentially being traded for Adams. It's other guys. I got a list of 9 more that I want to talk about.
go. Listen, run your list. Run the whole list.
Okay,
Run the
so
list. And I'll go and give you a quick yes or no. Go run the list.
Jordan Lewis.
No.
Why?
Easy. Jordan right now with a pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
he is one of the guys that makes plays on my defense. And it's something that Vach said when you and Vach were on together earlier this week. Outstanding show you guys did. We will not know how bad Chris Richard is until we get 3-4 games into the season. You will
Absolutely.
not know how awful a coach Chris Richard was as a head defensive coordinator or co-defensive coordinator with with Rob Marinelli until 3 or 4 games into the season. Because everywhere else, if we all go back and think about it, when we drafted Chidobe Awuzie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we turned around and got Jordan Lewis, we thought Jordan Lewis was the steal of the draft.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of that draft. We thought we got the best slot corner in the draft by getting Jordan Lewis.
Now here's the thing though.
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy and Mike Nolan, just like Chris Richard, they like their corners a little bigger. Jordan kind of itty bitty. So if we think that he isn't going to make the team anyway, does that make him as a trade piece a little bit more tantalizing?
No, because my thing is, like I said, coming out of this pandemic and going into camp, I've got to look at Worley, right?
Yep.
I got to look at Kennedy, right? Yep. And I got to look at Jordan Lewis. If I had to make a choice right now of what I see off tape, who would I keep? Do I keep Daryl Worley, who I know has been a starter, but hadn't made a lot of plays, right? Kennedy as a reserve cornerback with the Ravens with a great front seven, played sparingly. But I know Jordan Lewis has never been able to give me a full, not give me a full, he had the opportunity to show what he's worth. I just think with a better technique and a different coach, that Jordan Lewis can be able to outplay both of those guys.
Absolutely. I definitely think so because I think Jordan always has an eye for the ball.
That's what I want.
Unlike a lot of the guys who, adopted Chris Richard's philosophy, Jordan Lewis always maintained the eye for the ball.
Right.
I just don't know if, despite all of that, he will stay at the top of the list of what these defensive coaches
and Jordan Lewis is not going to get me Jamal Adams to Jordan Lewis. It's going to be Jordan Lewis and trade and draft picks. I'm not giving no draft picks away.
Yeah. You're not getting 1 for 1 like you could potentially get with Michael Gallup. You're going to get Jordan Lewis and like a second or maybe a third.
I'm not giving up any draft picks. None of my. I'll give you a 7th. I'll give you Jordan Lewis in a 7th. I'm not giving no draft picks away. I'm not giving my top 100 guys away. For far too long, this organization has tried to make these runs, these deep runs, make these Super Bowl runs with George Selvey and Mincy and just cats that you knew weren't top level players. Absolutely. And you only get those top level players at that top 100.
Okay. I'm glad that you brought up some more guys in the front because the next guy, you may know who I'm about to talk about Tyrone Crawford. Would you throw him and a pick in there?
No. Where's my pick? 3rd, 4th round?
Yeah, I was gonna say a 3rd or a 4th because ideally the 3rd round pick is gonna be the last pick in the 3rd round anyway.
I'll give him a fourth because I'm going to get compensated with Byron Jones with a third. So I'll give him a fourth.
Okay, so you would consider Tyrone in a 4?
I'll give you Tyrone on the fourth. I'm going to tell you why I would give you Tyrone. Okay, now Tyrone in a fourth, I would give you straight up because I got Joe Jackson, right? I've got Neville Gallimore.
Yeah.
I've got Alden Smith. I've got Randy Gregory.
Hopefully those guys can play.
Listen, we're going to speak those things as though they are.
Okay.
So I got Randy Gregory. I got Bradley Anai. I've got Alden Smith. I've got Joe Jackson. I got Dorrance Armstrong. I got a bevy of defensive ends. So if I'm going to do that, and DeMarcus Lawrence is my number one guy, and I got better inside play, I will give you Tyrone. I will give you Tyrone Crawford in a fourth.
Okay. See,
I'll give you. You know what? I'll give you Tyrone Crawford in a third.
Okay.
Because I still have.
I found a chink in your armor a little bit. That's the only one. That's it. Okay. now here we go. You mentioned a lot of names in the front, but you didn't mention Tristan Hill. We would only be going into Tristan's second year. What would you consider giving up Tristan Hill and some compensation, some draft compensation?
No.
But Chris, you didn't even mention his name.
Because
I'm playing devil's advocate here. Because
Tristan Hill plays defensive tackle. Yeah. Tyrone Crawford plays right defensive end.
Whoa. He can get in the middle. He can get in the middle.
Nah, not the way his body's transformed now. The biggest problem why Tyrone Crawford had so many problems with, now they signed him to be that undersized, explosive under tackle or 3-tech. That's why they bulked him up.
Yeah, because they were really into the NASCAR package.
Right. But then he slimmed down, and he's going to have to stay at that 270, 265, 270 right defensive end side to extend his career and to work on those hips. That's what ends up happening. So if I've got a bevy of people at right defensive end, because I do, and left defensive end, Alden Smith can go both sides. He can go both sides. He can go left or right, okay? I know Randy Gregory can play right. Bradley Anai is going to be a guy inside the mix. Dorrance Armstrong's going to have to fight his tail off, right, to make this team. But he can go right, or he can go left or right. So if I'm going to give up a guy who is an extra guy coming towards the end of his career, and I can get rid of that $8 million, which helps me on the back end of paying my quarterback, and I got draft picks, and I got an extra third. Yeah, I'll give Tyrone Crawford in my comp third.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna love these next two. What about Donovan Wilson?
And there's not even a chance in the world I'm giving Donovan Wilson.
You wouldn't upgrade at your safety position?
I am trying to keep from paying $15 to $17 million to a secondary guy. I didn't pay $17 million to an all-pro corner. So why in the world am I thinking about paying $17 million to an all-pro safety?
Okay. And Donovan Wilson, we don't know what he would do yet. So it would have to be Donovan Wilson and a second maybe. You know, they might even consider a first.
No, man, they listen, they would get, that GM would be fired on the spot for taking anything less than a first and a second for a 6th or 7th or even an undrafted safety from somebody. Donovan Wilson was what? What was he, undrafted?
7th, I believe.
7. Okay, so what GM, right?
Yeah.
On the face of it, I'm going to give you a first round, 6th pick in the draft, all pro safety, right?
Yeah.
For Donovan Wilson, a 7th rounder and a 2nd round draft pick. First thing they're going to say, Jamal Adams, something's wrong with Jamal Adams. He's either injured, he's a coke, he like the Cindy Lauper. He out here doing, he got wild parsley, he got a whole arsenal underneath the seat. You know, he out here he got Asian women tied up in the trunk.
Oh,
something going on.
Oh no.
If you give up Jamal Adams, Donovan Wilson without giving up a first round draft pick, or Bill Bill Bradley is the GM in New York and not the Texans anymore. That's the only way you can see that.
But Chris, here's the thing. In order to soften that blow, because Donovan Wilson would likely be playing at the strong. I'm not sure if he would be at the free with Xavier Woods there. That would be a direct upgrade. So we talked about dynasties, and with Adams not, if he were to come to Dallas, not immediately asking for a contract, would that give you an immediate window to try to get one, maybe two Super Bowls in the last 2 years of his deal? Is that worth the first round pick and a guy like Donovan? Personally, I say no, because I want my first round picks. I'm not going to give up.
Listen, if you know what, if you make that trade last year, right? When the majority of Cowboy fans were clamoring to make that trade last year, right? Guess what you wouldn't have on your roster right now?
CD Lamb.
Boom. So I'm never trading I'm never going to trade. I lucked up the year before by getting Amari Cooper. I don't want to put myself in that position where I'm waiting to pick 45 to 50 to get my first guy and he be an impact guy. You need to put impact guys on your team every year. So I'm going to now turn around and put another impact guy on my team, and then I know within 2 years I have to pay him, where I can draft that guy and have at least 3 to 4 years to be able to have to pay him.
Absolutely.
If I have to pay him big money.
Now, we're gonna get into some next level, like deep think stuff right here.
Okay.
What if it were a trade kind of like what happened with Miami and Pittsburgh that sent Minkah Fitzpatrick to Pittsburgh? Miami gave up Minkah, a 4th and a 7th. In return, they got a 1st and a 5th. Would you think about some really next level trading for that to happen?
So the Steelers got
Minkah Fitzpatrick.
They got Minkah Fitzpatrick,
a 4th round in 2020, and a 7th round in 2021.
And they gave up their first
round in 2020. Let's see. They gave up their first round pick in 2020, a 5th round pick in 2020, and a 6th round pick in 2021.
I'm never giving up my first round draft pick again. I'm never doing that again.
Okay. Morris Claiborne kind of burned you.
Huh?
That Morris Claiborne trade up scenario kind of burned you a little bit.
Listen, I know Morris Claiborne didn't burn me. Roy Williams burned me.
Ah, gotcha.
Joey Galloway burned me.
Gotcha.
Okay? I'm never giving up my first rounder, right? And turn around and in 2 years I gotta pay him. I'm not paying him a minimum salary. I gotta pay him top of the market money. And
you're gonna have to do that in the 5th year anyway. That 5th year,
right? Well, the fifth year I'm gonna have to pay him big money. But we're gonna turn around as we go on, and as people spend time with us. When we look back in January, February, me and you gonna be like, "Yo, man, who the top safeties in the draft? Oh man, I could get him in here. Oh, I can get him here."
And each of the past 2 seasons, really the past 3, they fell. So you got to keep that type of stuff in mind.
Every guy that me and you was salivating over fell.
That's right.
The last first round safety was what? Did they have a first rounder this year? Did McKinney go in the first round?
I don't think so.
I know Greg Delpit didn't go in the first round. No. He was in the second round.
Absolutely.
Right? The smorgasbord of safeties that went in 18 when we when we got Tristan Hill, Ron Thornhill, second round. Taylor Rapp went right behind him, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we all sit up and look at Tristan like he's crazy, because those 2 guys are out there playing and Tristan didn't play last year.
Absolutely.
So I am not about to sit up and say a safety unless he's Sean Taylor, right?
And we haven't seen another one of him.
Oh man!
For what it's worth.
The last guy that was close was Ed Reed.
Yeah.
I mean, and you talking about? I'm talking about impact super smart. And I'm not taking anything away from Jamal's mental makeup and everything comes along with him. But I don't know how he is as a leader. I know he's a box safety who can play.
Yep.
He's not super rangy guy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He is, he is explosion and impact guy, but that's Donovan Wilson. He's just dirt cheap, and we don't know.
Absolutely.
I'm not expecting Donovan Wilson to be Jamal Adams. I just want him to be Donovan Wilson. I just need a rangy safety who hits people, right? Who makes plays on the ball, and his name ain't Jeff Heath.
Absolutely. I am 110% with you in that last part.
That's it. That's the only problem with Cowboy fans. They keep comparing Jeff Heath, an undrafted guy out of Saginaw Valley, to every last guy who's an all-pro who went to these big-time schools. But you cannot tell me that Jeff Heath has not been a valuable player in the NFL.
Serviceable. I'm not gonna.
Hey, listen. Listen. He's been serviceable, right?
Yeah.
He's been serviceable. But when he was off the field last year, you sure enough wanted him back in a hurry, didn't you?
I wanted Donovan more than anything.
But here's the problem. Donovan got hurt, so Donovan didn't have the time to get those reps in. And when Donovan got out there on the field, he was looking lost.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, if I'm going to go through all that, why not in 2020 in the draft, top 50 pick? Because I'm already going to be thick and fat, picking right around 64 anyway.
Hopefully.
And I can look up.
Hopefully.
I'm looking up. Right. No, ain't no hopefully in there. I'm picking 64.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's only 32 picks. I'm picking 64. So I'm in the second round, and I'm looking, and there's a top-notch safety, and I can take one of my third round picks from my comp third, and I can move up to the middle of the second round and go get the best safety on the board.
Yeah. I would love for that to happen.
Right.
Love it. So all of this, in conclusion, of this has been to say,
let the record show. Let me bang the gavel.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, if they were talking about, hey, let me give you a 4th and a 7th for him, I am not giving up anything before a second round pick because he wants out. There's the problem. It's not like the fact they want to keep him. He want out of town.
That's right. So they lose leverage with that automatically.
They lose that. Hey, don't nobody want the disgruntled guy at work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the dude that's going in the coffee room, pushing over the coffee pot, messing up the table. Nobody wants that guy around. He don't want to be there. So if he don't want to be there, I know he don't want to be there, and he's told 6 or 7 other teams he don't want to be there. Guess what? I will give you no better than a 2nd and a 6th, and we swap that thing out.
Okay. So, like we said, a team is never just a safety away, and we are not willing to give up high draft capital for Jamal Adams.
Man, I cannot give up a 2nd, anything high. I cannot go. 2nd is as high as I go.
Absolutely.
As high as I go.
It's only one player that Chris would consider, and that's Crawford. Crawford in the 3rd. We found Chris.
That's my chink. Now, if anybody can come, anybody out there, any of you guys who are sitting there listening to me and BH talking to us, if you've got a rebuttal, man, you're always able to go down there and shoot it, man. We're gonna look at it and we can talk about it. But I'm no more in the 3rd. Crawford in the 3rd.
There we go.
Because I got an extra 3rd this year.
Absolutely.
That's it.
All right. Hey, well, that's all we got today, man. We wanted to make this a relatively quick conversation. I know it was about 20 minutes all in all. But we definitely did want to speak on this Jamal Adams situation. So, hey, I'm Brandon.
Hey, man, I'm Set It Off Chris, man.
And this has been Frankly Football.
Peace. All right, man.